Welcome to the Nation of History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Have you ever stopped to think that many famous movie characters and scenes came from real lives, lived long before cameras existed the way we know them today? In this video, we are going to follow the journey of performers who moved through circuses, fairs, and stages from the late 19th century through much of the 20th century. People who were billed as curiosities but answered with talent, discipline, and strong stage presence. Here, you will find unexpected connections to unforgettable films, celebrated cult favorites, and real figures who inspired characters many people recognize right away. Some of these stories are surprising, others are rarely talked about, and at least one of them often changes the way we see that era. Stay to the end, because the final stories tie everything you saw earlier together and put this world in a whole new perspective. Mirandejo, the stage name of Arnold Gerrit Henskes, was born on August 6, 1912, in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. He became known in several countries for unusual physical endurance acts in which he performed demonstrations with sharp objects that amazed entire audiences. The impact was so strong that doctors and researchers began following some of these exhibitions, recording observations and tests, including X-ray images, to try to understand how he could repeat those feats in public. Dejo claimed his immunity came from spiritual principles and said his goal was to prove the human mind could affect the perception of physical suffering. In 1948, after one of his demonstrations, he developed health complications and died a short time later. To this day, his story is remembered as one of the most mysterious of the 20th century, often cited in debates about rare phenomena, mental suggestion, and period performances. Joe Martin Lorello was born in 1886 in Germany and became famous for an unusual feat, turning his head up to 180 degrees, something possible due to rare flexibility in his neck joints. In 1921, he moved to the United States seeking new entertainment opportunities and soon performed with the Barnum and Bailey Circus, one of the country's biggest companies at the time. On stage, the move impressed immediately because it was so uncommon, quickly making him a standout attraction in the circuit of shows and public exhibitions. In 1940, Life magazine published an illustrated feature recording his talent, which helped spread his name even further. Lorello stayed active for decades, appearing in circuses and theaters until he died in 1955, leaving a legacy tied to rare performances that marked the sideshow era. Prince Randian was born in 1871 in British Guiana and became known by nicknames like the Snake Man and the Human Torso, labels now viewed critically for reducing his identity to a physical condition. He was born with a rare congenital condition that affected the development of his arms and legs, but that did not stop him from becoming one of the most respected performers in the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circuses. On stage, he drew attention for precision and control while doing everyday tasks such as writing, painting, and even shaving using only his mouth, showing independence, discipline, and strong skill. In 1932, he also appeared in the film Freaks, directed by Todd Browning, which helped cement his name in the history of old curiosity shows. Randian kept performing for many years and remains remembered as one of the most striking and talented figures in that world. Pip and Flip were twin sisters born with microcephaly, a condition involving smaller development of the skull and brain, leaving childlike features and a head below common size. They were billed as the Yucatan Twins, referring to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, although most of their career took place in the United States. In the early decades of the 20th century, they appeared in very popular circuses and sideshows, winning audiences with spontaneous, expressive, and communicative style. Both also appeared in the film Freaks, released in 1932 and directed by Todd Browning, which greatly increased their visibility. Later, their image ended up serving as a basis for the character Pepper in the series American Horror Story. Freak Show. The story of Pip and Flip helps explain how performers with rare conditions were displayed and presented to the public in the era of curiosity shows. Maurice Tillet was born on October 23, 1903, in Russia. While still young, he began noticing changes linked to acromegaly, a condition that causes parts of the body like the face, hands, and feet to grow larger. In the 1930s, he moved to France and later to the United States, where he built a solid career in professional wrestling. Known as the French Angel, he reached the American Wrestling Association heavyweight title in the 1940s. Away from the ring, Tillet was curious and highly studious, interested in languages and literature, speaking about 10 languages and writing poems. His look later became remembered as one of the references for the character Shrek, released by DreamWorks in 2001. Before he died in 1954, he allowed molds of his own head, which led to masks preserved in museums in the United States and another kept by collector Patrick Kelly. Frances O'Connor was born without arms and, as a child, learned to use her feet to do everything in daily life. Over the years, she refined this adaptation until she became highly precise, able to eat, drink, write, sew, and handle many objects without help. At 15 years old, she joined the Ringling Brothers Circus and performed accompanied by her mother, who also handled the administrative side of her career. On stage, her act was built around everyday tasks done in front of the audience, such as cutting and eating a steak or writing a letter, highlighting control, coordination, and discipline. Over time, Frances became one of the company's best-known performers and left a story remembered for skill and for how she made her feet the center of her entire routine and work. Schlitzy was born in 1901 in the United States, and on posters of the time was promoted as Star of Freaks, a phrase now viewed critically for repeating offensive terms common in that era. He had microcephaly, a condition that reduces skull size and can involve limitations in cognitive development. In the early decades of the 20th century, Schlitzy appeared in circuses and traveling shows, performing dance numbers, choreographed movements, and small comedic scenes that won audiences and made him well known. In 1932, he appeared in the film Freaks, directed by Todd Browning, playing himself and expanding his visibility beyond the stage. His path is recorded in entertainment history as that of one of the most remembered performers from old variety shows. Harry Earls, born Kurt Schneider in 1902 in Germany, had dwarfism and from early on sought a place in entertainment. In 1915, he moved to the United States with his sister Grace, and the two performed in circuses and different kinds of shows using the stage last name Earls. Over time, sisters Daisy and Tiny also joined, forming the group The Doll Family, which became one of the best-known troupes of the early 20th century. Harry stood out for his stage presence and natural acting ability, which opened doors in film. He appeared in important movies, especially Freaks, released in 1932, and The Wizard of Oz from 1939, further increasing his visibility as a performer. His path secured a prominent place in both sideshows and the history of classic cinema, and he is still remembered as one of the most influential figures of that period. Daisy and Violet Hilton were born in 1908 in Brighton, England, joined at the hip and sharing part of their circulatory system. Adopted by Mary Hilton, they were introduced as children into the sideshow circuit and performed on stages and at fairs, standing out mainly for singing and dancing numbers. Over time, the pair gained international fame, becoming one of the most talked about attractions of the period and traveling to many places. Years later, they sought a more private routine away from the spotlight, living quietly. The sisters died in 1969, victims of the Hong Kong flu, and are still remembered as two of the most well-known conjoined twins in entertainment history. Joseph Merrick was born in 1862 in Leicester, England, and became known by a nickname of the time, Elephant Man. he had striking physical changes linked to a rare condition now often associated with Proteus syndrome. For part of his life, he was displayed at fairs and circuses, which made him famous but also exposed him to heavy prejudice. Later, he received medical and social support at the London hospital, where he spent his final years with more protection and care. His story inspired the film The Elephant Man, released in 1980, and is still remembered as a portrait of dignity, empathy, and resilience in the face of hardship. Johnny Eck was born on August 27, 1911, in Baltimore, United States, with sacral agenesis, a condition that prevents development of the lower part of the body. From childhood, he adapted to his anatomy and developed impressive control of his arms and hands, allowing fast, precise, powerful movement. Between the 1930s and 1950s, he became one of the best-known sideshow attractions by performing hand-walking, doing acrobatics, and taking part in sports activities, including adapted basketball games. In 1932, he appeared in the film Freaks, which further expanded his visibility in entertainment of that era. Beyond the stage, Johnny explored other artistic areas. He painted, sculpted, worked with puppets, and also gave musical performances, even conducting small local groups. His story is recorded as an important part of 20th century curiosity shows, marked by the wide range of talents he developed throughout his life. Grace McDaniels was born in 1888 in the United States, and at the time became known by an offensive nickname tied to the appearance of her face, often shown on circus posters as the mule-faced woman. She had Sturge-Weber syndrome, a rare condition marked by blood vessel malformations and extensive birthmarks on the skin. In the 1930s, she joined Harry Lewiston's Circus, where she quickly became one of the most recognized attractions for the public. Grace traveled with her son, Elmer, and supported her family through her performances. Her story is remembered for showing how people with rare conditions found a way to work in the circus during the sideshow era, establishing her name as an important figure in that kind of entertainment. Known as the Spectacular Two-Headed Man, he was born with a rare congenital condition resulting from the incomplete fusion of two embryos during pregnancy. The second head, only partially formed, drew interest from both the public and doctors of the time, and it turned him into a popular attraction in early 20th century circuses and fairs. His image was widely spread on promotional posters, symbolizing that era's fascination with cases seen as extraordinary and uncommon. Coo-Coo, billed on posters as the Bird Girl, was born in 1880 in Georgia, United States, and had Virchow-Seckel syndrome, a rare condition that affects growth and the proportions of the face and body, described at the time with terms now seen as stigmatizing. Her traits included short stature and striking physical features, which drew attention in the context of old curiosity shows. She began her career in circuses and turned these traits into the center of her act, building a well-defined persona. On stage, she wore feathered costumes, feathered headpieces, and used movements inspired by bird behavior, creating dances full of quick, expressive gestures. Over time, she became a popular attraction for audiences at these events, and Coo-Coo came to be remembered as one of the most iconic sideshow figures of the early 20th century, both for her visual style and for the creative way she shaped her performance. Josephine Myrtle Corbin was born in 1868 in Texas, United States, and became widely known in popular entertainment of the time because of a rare condition called dipagus, which changed the formation of the lower body and resulted in unusual physical traits. Researchers indicate this may be linked to an uncommon fusion of embryonic tissues in the early stages of pregnancy. Even with only one fully functional leg, Josephine began performing while still young at traveling events in an era when people with rare conditions were treated as public curiosities, something viewed critically today for involving unfair treatment and stigma. Over time, her performances spread her name across different regions of the United States, and she became a recognized figure by the end of the 19th century. Her path also helps explain how people with physical differences were seen, displayed, and represented in the cultural scene of that era. Ella Harper was born in 1870 in the state of Tennessee, United States, and became known as the Camel Girl. She had a rare condition called genu recurvatum, which caused her knees to bend backward, allowing her to move supported on her hands and feet. This unusual trait sparked major curiosity at the time and led her to perform in circuses and fairs during the 1880s, where she was promoted as the most wonderful curiosity of nature. Mary Ann Bevan was born in 1874 in the United Kingdom and worked as a nurse before developing acromegaly, a condition that causes pronounced growth of bones and tissues. After the death of her husband, Thomas Bevan, she faced financial hardship and decided to perform at fairs and circuses to support her children. She ended up being promoted as the ugliest woman in the world, a title exploited by the media of that era to draw crowds. Even surrounded by stigma, Mary Ann became known for the determination to provide for her family amid the social challenges of the time. Fanny Mills was born on August 30th, 1860, in Sussex, England, and as a child moved with her family to Sandusky, Ohio, in the United States. She had Milroy disease, a rare condition that causes severe swelling in the legs and feet, and she reportedly wore size 29 shoes in the sizing used at the time. Between 1885 and 1892, she performed in circuses and curiosity museums, where she was billed as the woman with the largest feet in the world. A promotional offer promising $5,000 and a farm to whoever married her helped increase her fame and draw visitors. In 1886, Fanny married William L. Brown, and after leaving the stage, lived quietly on the family property. She died in 1899, and her story remains an example of how these attractions were promoted and consumed in that era. In 1917, Pasquale Pignon, known as a performer billed as having two heads, traveled across the United States with an act that sparked intense curiosity. He had an unusual formation in the head area that suggested a second face, an effect made stronger with a wax mold created by the circus. The act quickly gained attention in the sideshows of that period, turning Pasquale into one of the most talked about figures in early 20th century circus entertainment. Grady Stiles Jr., known as Lobster Boy, was born in 1937 in the United States with ectrodactyly, a rare condition that made his hands and feet resemble lobster claws. Following a family tradition, he entered the sideshow circuit early and became a well-known attraction. Even with fame, his life was shaped by personal difficulties and conflicts within his own family, factors that also influenced his path in entertainment. Krao Farini was born in 1876 in Laos and became known by a nickname used on posters, the Monkey Woman. She had hypertrichosis, a rare condition that causes excessive hair growth across the body and striking facial traits, which drew attention even in childhood. After being found by an explorer, she was taken to Europe and presented through an era's mistaken comparison between humans and monkeys in shows that mixed scientific talk with circus entertainment. Later, she traveled to the United States and became one of the attractions in P.T. Barnum's shows, remaining remembered as a very notable figure in sideshow history. Annie Jones was born in 1865 in the United States and became known as the Bearded Woman. From very early on, she had a thick beard, which drew the attention of circus promoters. Still a baby, at around 9 months old, she joined the Barnum and Bailey circus attractions and over time became one of the most famous performers of her era. Despite prejudice, Annie built a solid career, turned her image into her own brand, and traveled to many places, winning audiences with stage presence, talent, and charisma. Fedor Yevtichev was born in 1868 in Russia and became known as Jojo, the dog-faced boy. He had hypertrichosis, a condition that causes excessive hair growth on the face and body. While still young, he began performing in P.T. Barnum's Circus and quickly became one of the most talked about attractions of that time. Over time, his appearance also came to be remembered as one of the references that inspired the character Chewbacca from the Star Wars franchise. Pauline Musters was born on February 26, 1876, in Ossendrecht, the Netherlands. She is cited by a record book as the shortest adult woman ever recorded, standing only 24 inches tall and weighing about 9.9 pounds. Known as Princess Pauline, she won audiences with dance and acrobatics in theaters and fairs across Europe and also in the United States. On March 1, 1895, already in New York, she died at age 19 due to pneumonia and meningitis. Her story remains remembered as one of the most striking in 19th century entertainment. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.